My name is Michele Dunleavy. I am the Penn State Laureate for the 2024-25 academic year, and I am the director? Yeah, I'm the director of the Beads Project.
I'm Talley Fisher. I'm an artist with the Huck Institutes of the Life Sciences and also a sculptor professionally. And we are happy to support Michele and her project.
Daryl Branford brought us all together. So he's, what is his title?
The Director of Science Art Initiatives at the Huck Institutes. And we have a group called the Sci-Art Group. So that is our, we support researchers in life sciences and across the Penn State community.
So Daryl approached me after the laureate announcement came out and said he wanted to collaborate. He said, Huck wants to collaborate with you. And I said, okay, great. So we started to have a conversation about what that might look like. And then we had an appointment set up and I went to his office and Talley was there. And also Joe, who's
Joe's in engineering, Department of Engineering. We try to pull in people from different departments and see how we can collaborate with them. So he was interested in what we were doing.
Yeah. So Daryl is the one who brought us together, and we talked a bit about, the question was posed to me that what I would want to get out of the collaboration or what was important to me inside of the collaboration. And inclusion and access were two of my priorities, that I wanted whatever we built to be as available as possible to as many people as possible. And the idea of the beads, Talley offered, and I loved that they have, that there's this tactile sensibility, they make sound, right? And they're also visually interesting, so I feel that they already have a lot of sensory, what's the right word? There's a lot of sensory something built into them already.
Movement, there's, the aesthetic of it is pretty...
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to interact with them and a lot of ways to receive what they have to offer. Empowered and physically stimulated and in community with other folks. The workshops are really designed to get people's creativity flowing and working with other folks in the community. So it's about meeting other people, being in their bodies, and having a physical conversation. Right now I'm calling the workshops physical rhymes. To me, physical rhymes are those moments of synchronicity that happen unexpectedly inside of an improvisational experience. So a lot of the workshops is just about opening awareness and being connected to another person or persons in the space. So they will be moving primarily, but they are also welcome to use their voice. Sound is also a big part of what I do. I would talk about my choreographic work as being at the intersection of sound and movement. But these will be primarily movement-based workshops. We'll work with a variety of prompts and different methodologies to create a space where those physical rhymes might occur. Everything is low impact. Everything is translatable because it's improvisation. Nobody has to do anything like anybody else. So it's very much a choose your own adventure within the context of the prompts that we provide.
Well, my role is sort of behind the scenes, so helping create these beautiful columns for folks to interact with. And my hope is just to support whatever Michele is trying to. So in my professional work, I do suspended sculpture and often use beaded ball chain to suspend the sculptures or give the illusion of rain or a waterfall. And I've used this material in a lot of different projects. And when we were talking about the movement and what she was thinking about interacting with, I said, I have like 10,000 feet of this left over from a previous project. It would be great to be able to create something. And so what we did was I created this mock-up, took it in my studio in Bellefonte, and brought Michele in and Joe. We all sort of played around with it for a while, and I think from that kind of just a really casual kind of interaction with it.
Yeah.
To make it all unfolded. So There'll be a few more of these kind of columns that we're creating. In the SciArt group we've done some sculptural interpretations that have included some an iPad that teaches you the cordyceps, how it creates zombie ants, and so we've done some interactive, but more on the technology side of things. And this is very physical and you know,
it's very analog.
Yeah, very analog. And I really love that. I don't create suspended sculptures for them to be touched. So to be able to work with Michele and have somebody actually interact with it, you know, usually they're hanging and it's like, don't touch the artwork. I mean, I'm always, you know, playing around with the material and then I hear it on the floor, you know, and I touch it all the time. And for me, it's sort of normal, right? And but when I'm creating sculptures, I'm always, you know, holding these like it's, you know, normal for me to just have these swinging on me, but to have somebody actually create a dance piece and have the public kind of interact with them is pretty exciting.
I think when you get interesting, talented people together in a room, stuff happens. And I say that because truly I was in conversation with Daryl. We didn't really know each other. I didn't know Joe. I will tell you that day that I came into the office, he met me in the lobby and he was like, there's a couple other people here. And I'm like, wait, what? he didn't tell me. I was not prepared for that. But we had an instant connection. We talked for several hours before we landed on the idea of the beads. And so, you know, I think we talk a good game about collaboration and interdisciplinary work, but there's not often space for it, space and time and resources. So when Daryl came to me, and this is not the first time that Daryl and I have worked together. I worked on the zombie ant experience. And then he and I also did this very small presentation called The Art of the Cell at a conference here at Penn State several years ago. But if it weren't for Daryl coming to me, if there wasn't already a plan in place at the Huck to collaborate with the laureate, if I wasn't the laureate, this probably wouldn't have happened. And so a lot of things had to fall into place, and I wish it was easier. I wish there were more mechanisms in place for us to be in each other's spaces, because I think we have a lot to learn from each other and a lot that we can offer each other.
And I'll add that our previous Huck director, Troy Ott, was very keen on the Huck and us, our group, supporting a laureate. We had been in touch with previous laureates and wanted sort of for the Huck and our group to branch out and try these new collaborations and see where it leads.
So is this the first collaboration between the Huck and the laureate that has come to fruition?
Yes. It is.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. And as we said, Michele, so those videos that sort of teach you about the life cycle of the cordyceps virus for zombie ant, Michele did this fantastic tap, and then Daryl animated it and created it as part of an interpretation of the specific kind of learning objective portion of that zombie ant experience.
I think sometimes I'm laying in bed and I'm like, what if only 2 people come to the workshop? Well, then we'll have a workshop with 2 people. That's what'll happen. You know, it's an interesting question because I can't presume to know how the community will receive this experience. What I hope is that it's an opportunity for folks to gather, to move their bodies and be in community in a different way. People gather, but they don't often gather to move. And I say move, not necessarily dance. I think sometimes dance would attract a certain group of people, but it would also put off another group of people. And so for me, all movement is dance. My definition of dance is very broad, probably more broad than most other people's, but just to move and to understand how we communicate through our bodies, and to, I guess, to provide a space where people can be together without any pressure of having, like at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be anything. That hour-long workshop will end and resolve in whatever way it ends and resolves. And people will have an experience, but it's not about learning some steps or doing a thing or accomplishing something. It's really just about being together. And the whole piece that is being built, the dance piece that's being built inside of this amazing landscape that Talley is building is about time. And I think the idea of taking an hour of our time to just be with each other in our bodies is powerful. So the final performances, we are working on it. I have a small group of dancer, storyteller, poets from the community, primarily. Actually, I think they're all from the community, although Ann Van Kuren has a connection to Penn State because she teaches at Penn State Harrisburg. But we have been gathering, we have been playing with the beads and seeing what that is inspiring, but we're talking about time and how we experience the passage of time in our individual lives and as a collective. So we've had some really rich conversations, and then we're using those stories and those conversations to generate a movement vocabulary that right now is just us and our one sculpture, but we'll have many more. So we're building a vocabulary that we can then translate to the environment when we move into the space in April.
I think there will be 6 discussed, and that may change. So once we get into the Wascop Theater and are able to actually suspend these and move
around
and get an idea, sense of the space, that may change. But
and will they all be like this one?
There'll be various sizes. This is
Okay.
the largest, and then there'll be smaller columns. We discussed the fact that this one you can kind of enter and move into, whereas the others will be kind of solid columns and smaller.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been referring to the columns as the forest,
Oh, I
like a
that.
forest of beads.
That's
How they
so
might be, isn't that?
Yeah, that's great.
So we did some very unscientific measurements of
Yes.
this. So when this is spinning, because it revolves.
Oh,
Yeah, so this is maybe a good time to do
Yes.
this. Okay, great. So you can get all the way inside it. Right. And it also moves. But as it starts to move, you're going to see it actually opens. I'm not as tall as Rochelle, one of the dancers, but she got this spinning. Right, so I know, right? Isn't that gorgeous? And so we have this sound that comes in and out. So anyway, we were trying to figure out when it's at its fullest expanse, how much space it takes up. And we estimated about 10 feet across. So this will take up at its fullest almost 1/2 of the stage. And so our forest of beads will live on the other half of the stage.
It makes me think of a swing ride in the amusement park.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and you can move it from the outside, from the inside. We've done all kinds of, some of the stuff that the cast has come up with and created. I gave everyone time to just play, because I've been living with this for a few months now. So every once in a while after class, I'll pick it up and just play around. So as the rehearsals began, I just gave everyone time to play and recorded what they did, because everyone had they thought of such interesting ways to manipulate and move the beads, things that I never would have thought of. So I'm very collaborative. I'm not a choreographer that comes in and says, we're going to do this on this count. And so we're really building the piece together, which has been really exciting. So after it was announced that I would be the laureate for the academic year, my colleague Kikora Franklin, who is our interim director in the School of Theater, reached out to me immediately, said, congratulations, tell me what you're thinking. I want to know how the School of Theater can support you. And by then, I had already had a conversation with Daryl, and there was this idea, we didn't know what it was going to be yet, but there was this project, potentially, this collaboration, yet to be determined, and we didn't have a space. So I said to Kikora, well, I could use a space. And so we had a conversation about what my goals were, and she said, well, why don't we make you the artist in residence, the inaugural first artist in residence of the School of Theater. And I think this is going to be something that we keep doing each year. Now, whoever is in this position next year will probably not be the laureate. They generally don't pick a laureate from the same college or even the same campus year to year. But I love that she's starting this initiative to celebrate and support the work of the folks in the School of Theater. Not everybody works on production, and I think that is often all that is seen in the community as the face of the School of Theater is what is the show on the main stage. So for those of us who maybe don't work on those shows frequently, it's wonderful to have another opportunity to share and showcase our work.